Okay, thank you much. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
বাইকার সাহেব তো জয়েন করে গেছেন, তাহলে শুরু করুন এবার আপনারা।
হ্যাঁ
স্যার আমি জয়েন করে গেছি।
So, very good morning to all the panelists who have assembled here for this first webinar dedicated to food processing on behalf of being organized by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, West Bengal. And we are indeed lucky to have with us today our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Shoykot Moitro, who has been spearheading this effort on part of our university to include food processing and allied activities as a major activity of our university. And under his leadership, we have been able to set up a Department of Food Technology. So welcome, sir, to this webinar. And we are very, very privileged to have with us today Mr. Jayanta Kumar Oikot, IAS. Mr. Oikot is a very, very senior functionary of the government of West Bengal. He is Director, Food Processing Industries, Director, Horticulture Administration. He is also the Commissioner of Food Processing Industries and Horticulture, Government of West Bengal. Welcome, sir. And we are confident that this will be a long and fruitful association between MAKAUT and the Department of Food and Horticulture, Government of West Bengal. We also with us today, Professor B.B. Poira, Senior Retired Professor of Calcutta University, Academic Advisor of our university, Professor Sujit Mukherjee, Professor of the School of Management Sciences, Professor C.M. Hussain, who heads the Department of Pharmaceutical Technology, Professor Pronobesh Chakraborty, who is the Director of the School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and we also have, will be joining with us some other senior professors of our universities. We already have Dr. Niladri Chakraborty, a faculty member in the Department of Food Technology. So this is a very important occasion, and without wasting any more time, before I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to start proceedings, may I request my colleague, Professor Sujit Mukherjee, to speak very briefly about the role of management school in this webinar. Professor Sujit Mukherjee, please.
Good morning, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Good morning, Professor Aikot, Professor Poira, Professor Chakraborty, Dr. Imran Mukherjee, Professor Hussain, and all esteemed participants who have joined this program. And it's indeed a first webinar devoted to food processing, I think. And it's a very auspicious occasion. And as Dr. Imran Mukherjee correctly said, the brainchild is, of course, our Vice Chancellor, sirs. And here we are today, looking at the first webinar on such a subject, and we have a long way to go, I believe. As a management professional, I would imagine that we have got a supporting role to play here. The core is, of course, going to be food technology and food processing, and we would do whatever we can in order to support this venture. It needs management is something that is needed everywhere, perhaps, and that's where we are coming in a supportive role. And I hope to play a very important and crucial role from the Department of Management Sciences in MAKAUT in trying to take this venture to a very, very long way. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much. Back to you, Indranil.
Sir, thank you, Professor Sujit Mukherjee. May I just supplement what Professor Mukherjee has said, that we are planning to open an MBA program in the area of food processing and food technology. As Professor Sujit Mukherjee said, management is essential everywhere, but we hope to focus on this by starting an MBA program, and also by fanning out our student base to these different government departments, so that they can have a hands-on experience of how things actually work out. We are one of those schools or universities which believe in exposing students to real industry and government practices, how things happen on the field before they take theoretical lessons in management studies. Now, let me request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Shoykot Moitro, to enlighten us with his views. Of course, sir, this has been your brainchild. You have been pushing hard on this for the last few years, and now we are seeing some maturity of these ideas coming. So, sir, please.
Okay, thank you, Professor Indra Mukherjee. And good morning to all the dignitaries present, particularly Mr. Jayant Kumar Aikat, who by chance we met at certain occasion, and afterwards we explored the possibility of networking and integrations of all our efforts. Professor Mukherjee rightly pointed out that food processing and food technology is going to be one of our thrust area in near future because of the importance of this subject in the community, in the society, particularly in the context of India. Here, if you look at the hunger index published by United Nations, still we are occupying one of the bottom positions at this list. That means we are not in a position to feed our, these billions of populations 2 square meals each day. So this is not a, this a matter of pride for all of us, even after so many years of independence. I repeatedly tell all these things at most of these webinars when I get this chance, because this is our responsibility. To come forward and to take up this challenging scenario. We don't have any, this dearth of potential, dearth of resources. Everything we are having, natural resources or human resources, but where we are lacking, my idea or my perception that we are lacking in a sincerest effort in building up, this our networking integrations and all-round effort in surmounting all these obstacles and challenges. You see, we as university, we have the government bodies, the industries. Most of the times, I have seen from my personal experiences, we are existing in isolation as disjoint sets, and that's why most of the times, what we have observed, there is a wide gap between whatever is being taught and whatever we learned at the university, and then application of all these things in industrial scenario. There's implication of the government policies in all these things. So there are lots of these things which we need to now resolve and we need to now handle, and that's why I am personally very much interested in, and I have received overwhelming responses from Mr. Jayant Aikat. I'm thankful to him and Dr. Subrata Gupta. Whenever we got this chance to meet him, meet them, and we are. I was really astonished in observing the level of enthusiasm already they're having as a government official. So this is a very good sign. That's why I'm reiterating that we don't have any, this depth of potentials and opportunities, and this our this for applications of our intentions. Only thing this now is to be materialized. So and this is a maybe first step in that direction. There's an adage in management. All on a sudden or overnight, we cannot transform the entire thing, maybe by 100%. But we can take up certain steps by which 1% change can take place on a regular basis, and after a certain period of time, the entire things will be changed. So this is one of the the Kaizen way, or this 1% development. All many new theories are coming in this area, and I would like to remind that our main focus will be massive startup and entrepreneurship, because we have very this prolific and very this dynamic young mind, aspiring young minds. Now that needs to be channelized, and how channelized for a direction, for giving a vent of all this this, for unleashing this huge potential which is untapped till now. And this is our young force, young brigade, young India. And the right time, the time has come that everything is getting to be disrupted. Everything is going to be transformed. Within the last few years, we have seen in the entire world a massive disruption and transformation taking places. Job scenario is changing. Whatever the jobs which are existing right now, in near future, most of these things will be abolished and started have this disappearing. Maybe by 2030, we will be witnessing an entirely new gamut or new series of jobs and new series of these these areas, new areas where we will have a this renewed the chances of renewed potentials of applying ourselves. And that's why this is the thing is for developing in an agile way and encouraging and supporting our young mind to take up the opportunity of the future. And food technology, food processing is a huge potential for the entire country. small country like this Israel, Singapore, when they are doing lots of these food tech based innovation and all these things, we are lagging behind. Why? We don't have this duct in our intellectual potential. We have all these things. Now let us take as an as a as an as a one of the technology university of this country. Let us take this endeavor in doing some things in that direction. I am strongly believe that when a handful of people, they have good intention and they come forward to do something, ultimately there will be these are very, very tangible and formidable outcome. And the outcome will be in this way, inspiring, encouraging our young people to show them what the problem is existing. And other side of the coin is, this, if one side is problem, other side is opportunity. How is that kind of flipped to translate or transform into opportunities? And I'm seeing from IITs, from many places, the movement has already started. The young people are coming forward to take up lots of these innovative entrepreneur enterprising activities. And we want from our states a number of students, a large number of students, they will come forward, because future is going to be this knowledge-based egalitarian society dominated culture, and where this is micro entrepreneurships, knowledge-based entrepreneurships, that will be dominating the entire economic scenario. And here we would like to take all these opportunities, how to exploit our natural resources, how to go for integrations with already existing clusters available at the state, aligning ourselves with the policy this adopted by the government and all these things, and how best we can use our all this knowledge, maybe knowledge in information technology, biotechnology, chemical science, food science together in an integrated fashion to take up all the solutions, to take up the challenges of this future. With this, I'd like to conclude. We definitely, I believe that our participants, so far I can see a large number of our learning community, they have assembled together for getting the benefit of listening from a senior IAS official of the state regarding the this idea, vision, and planning of the government, and of course how best we are aligning ourselves with all these things to make it a formidable this happening in the future. Which I'd like to conclude. Thank you all, and let's welcome again Mr. Jayant Aikat. And afterwards, I believe there will be a very, very this engaging discussion, because many of our faculties, they are here. Students will have large numbers of queries and doubts and these questions. So there will be a question and answer session at the end, and I believe that will be a very, very this vibrating and engaging session. So my sincerest thanks to the Food Technology Department, Professor Indra Mukherjee, Professor Pranabes Chakraborty, Professor Poira, and Dr. Hossain, Professor Sujit Mukherjee, Professor Nilati, Dr. Nilati Chakraborty, all who are associated in making this day. So with this, let me conclude, because the bad habit of all these people who are associated with teaching professions is whenever they get a chance, they continue to speak. So there should be an end to something at there's an end point at somewhere, and this is very much required now. So this is now the final end point. Thank you all.
So thank you, sir, for your enlightening views and invigorating session, which has inspired all of us to get involved, as you said, in a more engaging fashion in today's webinar. I would not waste any more time, and I would welcome Mr. Jayant Kumar Aikat. We are extremely proud and privileged to have you with us, sir. Welcome, sir, to this webinar. And now I would hand over the floor to Mr. Aikat.
My thanks to the Vice Chancellor of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, Professor Shaukat Moitro. My thanks to the advisor, Food Technology of the University, Professor B.B. Poira, and all other senior professors who have become involved in this endeavor. And just to take the last part of Professor Moitro's speech, in the matter of food processing, it is somewhat the same for me as for a professor. if I do get a chance to get hold of a microphone, I have this tendency of not letting go easily. So to get rid of that, I today am going to make my presentation in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. And before that, for about 3 or 4 minutes, I shall be speaking about my department and my directorate. So the government of West Bengal in 1992, even before the government of India, decided to have a dedicated department for food processing. They were right in assessing, in estimating the importance of processed food in going out to a lot of people, in adapting to the changing ways in which people were taking food, and also in the reduction of wastage. So that is important. I spoke first about the importance of processing. Secondly, I spoke about the changing modalities of the way in which we are taking food. And finally, I talked about reduction of wastage. Why I did that shall become clear, shall become transparent. So 1992, the Department of Food Processing was established in the government of West Bengal. 1996, it was joined by the Directorate of Horticulture, which was taken out of the Department of Agriculture. At that point of time, there was a single directorate, the field office. To those who are slightly in doubt about what is a department and what is a directorate is a subset for the mathematical students. It is a subset of the bigger set of the department. The directorate is the field office, and the department is policy and HR, policy and establishment. So there was one directorate which looked into both food processing and horticulture for a long time before 2009, and in 2009 the Directorate of Food Processing was set up in the Department of Food Processing Industries and Horticulture. The Directorate of Food Processing Industries has had 4 directors. I'm the fourth one, and I'm the longest staying one. I have joined as Director of Food Processing Industries as Joint Secretary to the government, and then I became Special Secretary. I became again Joint Secretary in the IAS, and then Commissioner in the department. So that is the gamut of positions I've run through, and the timeline was from 2013 onwards to present day. So what does our department do? In the horticulture side, what our department does is extension. So there are farmers, they have methods, they have lands, they have practices. So our department's main role is to make them more future ready, make them more aware of what is profitable, what are better agricultural or horticultural practices. And there is also a certain amount of giveaways in the form of good saplings. So it is not that the person can immediately get benefits out of those saplings. He has to cultivate them, and then he can sell the fruits of his labor literally. So that is what the main role of the Directorate of Horticulture is. There are other subsidiary roles like finding ways of making our products more export worthy, uh, guiding on organic farming, use of less inorganic fertilizers, pesticides, weedicides, etc., and modern horticultural practices. In our case, the Directorate of Food Processing Industries and Horticulture, which is a very small office. It has the director, the additional director, and 6 food processing development officers who are food technology pass outs and who have had about 3 years of experience in the private sector before joining as food processing development officers. So we have 23 districts and 6 officers, on an average 4 districts to an officer. I shall be introducing them shortly. And before that, our role is to guide entrepreneurs in choosing sectors, in choosing industries, in guiding them on how to set up industries, what would be a more profitable sector, what are the barriers to entry in that sector, what are the barriers to exit, somewhat managerial, and also there are a number of other government departments which are involved in the setting of the industries, and this engagement is something that we guide them through. So we tell them where they have to approach first, which department has to be approached first, which second, and which are the departments which have to be engaged with simultaneously, because we still do not have the so-called single window system, which is there in at least some states very comprehensively. So that, I think, is a good introduction to our directorate. And we also have a third directorate, which I will just mention, but which I shall not be talking very much about. It is called the Directorate of Cinchona and Other Medicinal Plants. And it is mostly stationed in a place called Mongpu in Darjeeling, which is famous for other reasons. And we also have a corporation which does the commercial activities of the department, and that includes buying, distribution, uh, transportation of saplings and other things, and maintenance of some farms, horticultural farms. So that is what the corporation does. So in our directorate, I have got 6 food processing development officers and 1 management information systems expert who is a BTech in computer science and who looks into systems. So I'll be introducing, I have got 4 of my officers over here. I'll just take some time to introduce them before I go into my main topic. So I have with me Mr. Saurabh Narayan Mondol. একটু introduction করে নিন.
Myself, Saurabh Narayan Mondol. I am MIS in charge of this directorate.
Myself, Sunindo Korea. I'm the food technologist. I passed from Dalston University in the year 2008, and I'm the food processing development officer of this directorate.
Myself, Shukendu Jana. I am the food technologist and presently working as food processing development officer in the Directorate of Food Processing Industries. And presently, I am looking Howrah district, West Bengal district, Jhargram district, and Bankura districts. There are 4 districts under my jurisdictions, and we are helping to entrepreneur under this district and working as a food processing development officer under the Directorate of Food Processing Industries. Thank you.
Right.
Myself, Udip Kanti Rai. I'm a food technologist. Now working, I am South Chobbish Parganas district and and in charge of Nadia and Purba Midnapur district. Thank you.
So with that introduction, I shall be briefly telling about the structure of how I'm going to make this presentation. With a brief introduction to the sectors of food processing that are there in West Bengal, that are prevalent in West Bengal. I shall be going into my PowerPoint presentation. So first of all, in every occasion I am allowed to speak, I ask those present about what they have eaten from the morning. So if you recollect what you have eaten from the morning, it will be very difficult for you to point out something which has not been processed. So only if you are eating something which has been homegrown, without fertilizers, without inorganic fertilizers, or without inorganic supplements or weedicides or whatever, only in that case you shall be having something which is unprocessed. Besides that, everything, if you are having rice, if you are having sandwich bread, if you are having even roti, whatever, eggs, everything is processed. So that is the spread, that is the ambit, that is the intrusion of processing into our food that has taken place over the years. And going by the importance of this, in 1996, the government of India set up their own ministry, which is the Ministry of Food Processing Industries, and which has got a lot of importance in our country as of now. So beyond that, the general idea, I mean, in a very derogatory sense, some of my more illustrious colleagues, they refer to me as the jam jelly chutney achar doptorer officer, and I do not make myself clear regarding what the whole gamut of sectors in this industry involves. So, first and foremost, and without going into any particular order, I shall be mentioning what are the different sectors that are there in food processing. And obviously, all your students who are in food processing technology shall be aware of this, but still, at the cost of sounding repetitive, I would like to say that we have here in West Bengal, there are other states and other countries which are more into other food processing activities. But our main food processing activities are about 10 in number. The first sector is the bakery and confectionery sector, which I might say includes the more sophisticated biscuits known as cookies. Then we have the bottled drinks and beverages sector, uh, although carbonated soft drinks do not form part of the sector. We have cereal processing and pulses processing, which is very important when we talk about food security in the country, when we talk about nutritional habits of people, when we talk about how much we are producing to feed how many people in our country. Then we have the edible oil sector, again, a sector which gained importance after the pulses technology mission of Sam Pitroda, which was a long way earlier. We now have a very fashionable, what is known as ready-to-eat foods sector. It is called the RTE food sector, which includes pasta, which includes macaroni, which includes even ready-cooked meals, which are only having the necessity of them being heated or microwaved before eating. So that is the RTE sector. Then we have the traditional bread and butter sector, which is not bread and butter, it is fruit and vegetable processing, which has got an immense amount of importance because the so-called jams, the jellies, and even the achars, which have a huge amount of consumption in our country, come from those sectors, come from that particular sector. We have dairy, which is milk and milk processing, and its various other products, of which not all are made in West Bengal. We don't have a very wide variety of cheese being manufactured over here, especially if you compare to say a country like Holland or France. So that is the milk and milk processing sector. We have poultry. The poultry sector itself, uh, the eggs and the fowl, this you might say is part of the Animal Resources Development Department's oversight. But when it comes to making processed meats out of, say, chicken or ducks or turkey or quail, that becomes part of the food processing sector. And then you have got fish and marine processing, which includes almost all of it, the marine fish processing. There are about 35 different varieties of fish which are processed and frozen before they are transported mostly to other countries. And you also have meat and meat processing, uh, which although does take place in West Bengal, it is very little in quantity, almost negligible. We have a huge potential here, but because of some socio-political and religious reasons, we are unable to capitalize on all our resources. And finally, we have certain niche sectors, like we have spices processing, and they exactly cannot be called food processing, but because of the fact that they are edible and by human beings, we may say that they form part of the food processing sector. We have sectors like maize processing, which has got a huge amount of which has got a huge role in things like baby food, in things like health drinks, and that is one of the sectors which personally I'd like to see grow in West Bengal. So now, after this somewhat rambling introduction, I'll go into my PowerPoint presentation, which shall be about 15, 16 minutes PowerPoint again. Next. So this is what West Bengal is, and the most important part over here is that we have got 6 agroclimatic regions. Although that is somewhat of academic interest, and it is felt that particular fruits and vegetables grow in each of those regions. Now we are finding that if there is a certain amount of technological input, if there is a certain amount of technological intrusion, we can produce a lot of things which hitherto had been supposed to be grown only in climates which were amenable to them, to their growth. Next. So this somewhat I have covered. What is West Bengal's advantage? Here I shall delve into 2 or 3 points. What is the advantage of West Bengal? Apparently it seems that we produce a lot of raw material from which you can process food to mainly make it have a better shelf life and reach longer distances in terms of distribution. But I will give some examples, especially in the case of paddy, where we have entrepreneurs who are bringing over paddy from as far places like Telangana and Orissa, and they are processing it in Bardhaman and selling it for export to Ghana, Nigeria, all those places. So this is something which shows that it is not necessarily the raw material availability which counts. In the case of our trashing of problems, our solving of problems in the period of COVID, I got some more knowledge. I got to know that we have a number of units which produce soybean nuggets. But the basic raw material of the soybean nuggets, which is soybean flour, comes from Rajasthan. So there you have an example of a raw material coming from a different state, and the labor and the technology being used in our state to produce a final product which is again distributed maybe all throughout the country. And finally, in the case of, I talked about the drinks and beverages sector, all of us must have taken those soft drinks called uh, Fruity or Maza. So about Fruity, I would like to inform you that Fruity has got a third-party manufacturer, Keventers manufacture Fruity in West Bengal. All of their raw material comes from outside of West Bengal. It is the technology input and it is the labor input in West Bengal which takes this product forward, and the largest production center and distribution center of roti in the country is in West Bengal. It is in Barakpur, in fact, between Barakpur and Barasat. So this shows that it is not only raw material availability, it is something called production. Those of you who are from economics will understand that there is something called production advantage. So a number of things enjoy production advantage, of which rice and rice processing is at number one in West Bengal. And then we love our food and we have got a huge population. So this itself is a large market. And if you are thinking of a pan-Indian market, you have got roads going to almost everywhere from here. So you have a pan-Indian market as well. If you are producing something in Siliguri, you are nearer to markets in Jharkhand, Bihar, UP, and the north of India, as well as to the northeast, which includes the seven sisters of the east. And if you are exporting, then you have got Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar, all those places. And you can also export to the Kolkata port. So then again, in a non-structured manner, I have brought out the advantages of what food processing has in West Bengal. Next. Why do we call it a sunrise sector? The COVID epidemic will explain why food processing is a sunrise sector. So there are certain sectors of which two come to my mind immediately. One is food and the other is medicines. In no eventuality shall you fail in these businesses unless, of course, you become the victim of, say, cartelization, or you are taken down by a big monopolist and due to bad regulatory practices. Being part of the government, in my today's role, I shall be critical of the government in this case, that sometimes too much of regulation takes away from the good growth, the healthy growth of an industry. So that gives some of the numbers of the spread of the food processing industry. And I would say that anybody can come and set up food processing industries. They have got short break-even periods. They have got low debt service coverage ratios, and overall they have less barriers to entry as compared to other industries. Next. All right. Question. So potential subsectors I have talked about. I will just slightly go into the bakery and confectionery sector. Those of you who have an idea of the hinterland of West Bengal, the number of towns which have got a population of more than 30,000. Why is 30,000 important? Because 30,000 is a population of a settlement which, when achieved, makes the government think of making a municipality in that place. And then there are certain other aspects, like more than 75% of the population have to be engaged in economic activities other than agriculture, and you have to have, I think, more than a population density of 1,000 people in 1 square kilometer. So these are some of the points by which you consider making municipalities. Now, if you consider subdivisional towns and district headquarters, there are 23 district headquarters and 72 subdivisional headquarters in West Bengal at present, as far as I know. Some of them are overlapping because you have got SDOs at the Shodor places of the districts as well. So if some of you can remember, say in 1990, there were about just one or two. There was somebody called Jolajor and there was somebody called Sugar and Spice, and they wrote sugar with 2 R's. I don't know why. These were two of the entrepreneurs who had set up shops in some of the rural areas of West Bengal. By rural, I mean outside of Kolkata, outside of Shiliguri, outside of, say, Durgapur, outside of Asansol. If you take away these, then the rest, if you take them to rural areas, you had their presence. What happened was that maybe at that point of time, the population of West Bengal was thinking of a transition from sweets and the traditional sweetmeat sector to something which was slightly different, which was cakes, pastries, cookies, all those things. And then we suddenly had some entrepreneurs who had names like Kathleen's and Mio Amore, rather Monginis at that point of time, who changed the way the trade was made. They had air-conditioned shops, they had glass facades in their enterprises, and this proved to be somewhat aspirational for the population over there. So you might have had the child dragging his father into one of those shops and saying that I want to buy that, I want to buy that. So this was something which took the sector forward, and there was a quantum leap. Now, if you go to any of the subdivisional or district towns, you will find at least 5 or 6 of these shops and making good, crisp business. They were closed during COVID for some time, but then suddenly again you find them all open. And if you are not there by, say, 8 or 8:30 in the evening, they will very politely say that we are out of stock. So that shows somewhat how the business is taking shape. We can have in-depth analysis of each sector in the processing map of West Bengal, but that is going to take a lot of time. So I shall skip some slides and So I was talking about production advantage. You have got a lot of material on Google on what is exactly production advantage, and it can be proved mathematically that these are some of the crops which have got a lot of production advantage in West Bengal. Of course, you might take away tea and jute from there. This was collected from an article on production advantage. So tea and jute got in. Tea, however, is not part of food processing because tea comes under the Commerce and Industries Ministry of the Government of India. And jute itself is, of course, a totally different story. So these are some of the crops which have got a high value of production. That means there are very good returns if you go in for these, for the processing of these in our state. Next. So that includes what we want to do. I do not harp on this too much because it is not always that I am totally backed by existing government policies regarding these matters. So yes, this slide is there to show that we definitely have a vision, and this is slightly dated because now we are thinking also of because of the fact that now processing includes sorting, grading, and packing. So if you sort and you grade and you pack a vegetable, say something like okra gumbo or brinjals or capsicums, if you do all that to them and you send them outside, you make a decent amount of money, provided, of course, that you have not used unrealistic levels of fertilizers and other chemical inputs while making them. So that is also something which we are considering at present. What we have done is to help entrepreneurs. Our website has got 80 project profiles. If there is someone out there in the audience today who is really interested in what is going on in our state, I would request them to go through this. There are about 80 project profiles. What are these project profiles? You have to tinker them, you have to do a certain amount of work on them before you can they are not tailor-made to any specifications, but they can become the basis of detailed project reports. A detailed project report for an industry, say, which goes into something like 6 to 8 crores, and most food processing industries are in the nature of in the range of 6 to 8 crores. For them, these 80 project profiles shall help a lot in going a long way. You just need maybe the help of a marketing expert and a chartered accountant to tailor make them according to your own needs. And we also have a booklet which gives you a good idea about starting food processing industry in this state, where you have to go. If you don't have land, where you can get land. If you are having problems on a particular aspect like getting electricity or getting land clearances, then where you have to go. So all of that is given in a booklet which is given there in a PDF form in our website. Next. So if you are having problems getting land, we have a number of footpaths where there is some land available, but mostly the industries that are coming up are on private land, land which has been possessed by families for about maybe 2 generations, 3 generations. That reduces the amount of overhead cost of the total cost in the industry finance. So these are some of the footpaths. And next. At present, we have an incentive scheme which is called Bangla, which is not looked into by our department, but for information, I have given the URL of this scheme, and it is operational from 1/4/2019, although because of COVID it finally started in October 2020. So it is hoped that the 2025 outer limit shall be extended by 1 year. So this is an incentive scheme. We have a number of zones for the whole state. The whole state has been divided into a number of zones, and each zone has got a particular setup of getting incentives. Next. What we did was that we had at some point of time a national mission on food processing, and we from our directorate we incentivized about 68 industries, and this was a scheme which was run concurrently by the government of India and the government of West Bengal, and it was a scheme which was very happily accepted by all people, by us, by entrepreneurs, by banks. Why by banks? Because the term loan was buffeted by a subsidy of either 50 lakhs or a maximum of 75 lakhs. And for 3 years, that could not be diluted. The interest of that would go into neutralizing the interest of the term loan that had been taken by the industry. So what happened was the FD that was kept with the bank, that particular bank branch, they had their own FD targets and they helped in getting the FD targets raised. And there was also no question of the account becoming NPA. And the entrepreneur was happy because he was not only being given the money, he was also being recognized by the government in the sense that he was generating employment. There is a thumb rule, there is an estimate which says that about 84 numbers of employment are generated by 1 crore of investment, of which 16 are direct and I think 68 are indirect employment. So the mission had some objectives. This is to some extent verbiage, so I shall not go into that. Let's go to the next. These are the schemes, and some of the welcome schemes under the NMFP were, in case of 2 or 3 educational institutions, we gave them funds for setting up of laboratory equipment as well as for purchase of books. So unfortunately, this National Mission on Food Processing closed down before it was to have been concurrently run with a 5-year plan. It did not run, so it was closed down 2 years before it was actually supposed to close down. So anyway, next. So this was one scheme in which we led the country. This is very hard to believe. I mean, just before it came to a close, we were the state which had given the highest amount of incentive to industries, and the second was Maharashtra. So that is something which we could say with pride. And of course, there are some people who say that it was closed down because West Bengal was coming first. I don't want to go into that controversy, but it is a fact and proved by figures that we were the state which had set up the largest number of industries with incentive from that scheme. Next. But of course, rice milling was something which we had supported the most, because rice milling was something that was needed. We needed a lot of rice. This was needed mostly for food security, as the Honorable Vice Chancellor has mentioned earlier. And rice mills were something in which we did not have to think too much before we went into incentivizing. Next. So here I have a list of the large food processing industries in the state. I shall share this presentation with Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology. So no need to take notes or anything like that. You will get this information definitely. Next. Now this, if there are students tuning in to this program, this is very important. This is about 2016. So this has gone up. 14% of manufacturing GDP and 13% of India's total food exports. That is very important. There are some words used that what is the industry valued at. Those are misnomers. They are very vague. Because what actually is the value of an industry? It is the value of the output. Is it the value of the output, the annual output value of the industry, or the investment that has been made in the plant and machinery and the technical civil work of the industry? It is not always clear. So you might have figures like so many $1 billion and maybe now $1 trillion. but you always look at the money generated by the industry and what part of it is, what percentage of it is of the GDP. That is something which is very important. Next. Now here, the university must be knowing better, but from our experience, we have found that these are some of the jobs that are there in the sector. Under production, operation and quality assurance, you need food technologists. And then there is research and development, which may have people from economics, MBA, all those backgrounds as well. Marketing and sales, business development and marketing analysis is hugely important, and procurement and supply chain management. To this, I will add packaging. Packaging is very integral in the food processing industry. The necessity of packaging, that will again take about 1 hour to explain the different types of packaging and what is the actual role. In a very small nutshell, I might say that it is increasing the shelf life of the product and also reducing the contamination of the product. These are the two main roles of packaging in the food industry. Next. So these are some of the job opportunities in the government sector, and if you are really willing to come and join us in this somewhat, I should say, not very dynamic sector of the industry, and that is the government sector, then these are the various avenues that you can consider. And for these two aspiring students, I will say that there is a magazine called Employment News. Please subscribe to that magazine, and there you will get, now they have become quite efficient. They give you the URLs of the various employment opportunities that are there in this sector. Next. So these are the sector-specific career opportunities. These, you will understand that we have already talked about these. So obviously, when there is economic activity taking place and manufacture is there, then you have to have employment, and you have to have employment at all stages. You have to have unskilled labor, you have to have skilled labor, you have to have supervisors, you have to have managers, you have to have decision takers, and you finally have to have all those C words, CTO, CEO, etc., etc. So I think I spoke for about 45 minutes. Any more people might get angry with me. So that's it. I shall say thank you.
I'd like to thank Mr. Jayant Kumar Aikat. Sir, your presentation was very, very comprehensive, and we felt proud to note performance of our state in the national mission of food processing. And today, sir, we stand vindicated that our Honorable Vice Chancellor had taken the lead way back, about a couple of years back, as I told all the esteemed panelists and the attendees, to initiate this Department of Food Processing and Food Technology in our university. And I think we are also excited that we have so many startup and entrepreneurship opportunities here. And we have a range of job opportunities, and where our university can play a very significant role, because we have a diverse areas of specialization ranging from food processing, food technology, supply chain management, operations management, marketing, sales, etc. And also, sir mentioned this aspect of food packaging. And let me inform all the panelists and the attendees that here also we have taken initiative. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor has taken a very, very important measures to get involved, get associated, get tied up with the Indian Institute of Packaging, and I believe that we'll be able to take it forward. Now, with this very comprehensive presentation by our Honorable Mr. Jayant Kumar Ikat, we would like to commence to start with the process of inviting questions, suggestions, discussions, deliberations. To start with, I would request our head of pharmaceuticals technology, Dr. Hussain, himself a very distinguished academician, to take charge of the QA session. And also, I would request all the panelists to raise questions and start discussions and deliberations with our expert. So, Dr. Hussain.
Thank you, Professor Indranil Mukherjee, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Soikat Matra, and eminent speaker, Mr. Jayant Kumar Aikat, Senior IAS Officer, Government of West Bengal, and other learned panelists. Thank you, Jayant Kumar Aikat, sir, for your excellent presentation, and which has definitely enriched us and our participants. Now, I would like to request our participant to ask your questions related to the topics.
Dr. Hussain, some of the participants are raising hands. So, Prem Kumar,
Prem Kumar,
will you invite them for a direct interaction with Aikat, sir?
Yes.
We are requesting the participants that if you have any questions and you want to know any information related to the topic, please raise your hand or put your question in the
I have seen two
question answer
hands raised,
section.
Mr. Prem Kumar. One is Nabonita Panja. So if Nabonita Panja is there, you may request her to address her question to our honorable expert.
Sir, we have presently now Jyotirmay Panda. Jyotirmay Panda, please unmute your mic and please put your question.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you are audible, Jyotirmay. Kindly go ahead.
Okay. My question to the panelist, it's about a product that is called as Bandel cheese, which is very indigenous in our state. I just want to know from the panelist that why a indigenous cheese that is grow in our state didn't get the recognition it needs to be get. It can be it is a very bright market in the country, I believe, and it's a very popular product. Cheese is a very popular product, and it required in various food preparations. So in spite of all of this, why it didn't get the attention it actually required?
I'll answer that question. In 2016 and 2017, we did quite a bit for getting this product more recognition, and maybe think in terms of a GI for it, a geographical indicators registry for banded cheese. But the product itself is very difficult to find. There are only 2 shops in the new market which sell this product. And we tried to trace it backward. It is not grown in Bandel. It is grown about 30 kilometers from Bandel, and there is a very small number of artisans, maybe less than 10, who grow the product because of the peculiar recipe of the product. And you would not like me to say this, but I say this because I believe in saying factual things. The producers, the distributors, and the sellers of this product want to keep it a secret recipe, want to keep it within the limits that it is presently in place. If you can prove me wrong, I shall be happier than you in taking this thing forward. Please get me in touch with people who can get something out of this, and from our directorate, they will have all the help they need in making this a GI product, making a mechanized version if that is possible, and arranging for better distribution and better publicity for this product. But please ensure that the people who are in the distribution chain, in the production and distribution chain, are themselves interested, because it may seem that if we are really trying to help, we may be misunderstood as being intrusive. It has somewhat happened with us, and that is why we are a bit apprehensive. However, if you can get us someone who is really interested in taking this forward, our directorate shall be happier than all of the people over there. I think that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a question. May I ask the question, sir?
Yes, definitely.
Sir, as you know, there are many foods like some spinach, like kule khada, or some brahmi sak that are used that we eat in daily life, that has some medicinal value in terms of, in kule khada, that is used against treatment of anemia, and brahmi sak for sleep disorder, insomnia, which is scientifically proven. Is there any project of government of West Bengal or scope of project to researching on this in terms of production, processing, grading, sorting, or for quality or some value addition as a food processing?
I will answer your question on 2 or 3 aspects. The first and foremost of it is, in the case of spinach, very few people know that if you boil it or fry it, then you get to lose a lot of its qualities. The best way to take that is if you take it in what fashionable language is called a smoothie. You use a blender to take it with milk. It breaks down the molecules of the spinach into exactly those portions which go and counter the free radicals in our system, so that it gives us a better quality of health. Now, if you are looking into the medicinal properties, then you may do it in 2 ways. You may think of processed products. Because of the fact that our department is mainly into processing, I have to say that if you are looking at processed products, then these are some things called nutraceuticals, which have got somewhat medicinal property and which are also doubling up as food. Neither food nor medicine, somewhere in between. So in that case, because of the famous silo system in government, this falls under something called Ayush in the Department of Health. So if you approach them, then they shall be able to answer your queries in a better fashion than I am in a position to do. However, I also refer you to BCKV, who are doing some work, as well as UBKV, who are doing some work on medicinal plants, their uses, their appropriateness in the human diet. So I am not in a very good position to answer your question 100% over here. That is what I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Professor
Sukanya Datta.
Professor Paira wants to ask a question, sir. Sir,
hello, sir.
Kindly unmute you.
Yeah, take the question of Sukanya. First, the students' questions.
Sukanya Datta, please unmute your mic and please put your question.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Please put your question.
Yes, you are audible, Shukarna. Please go ahead with your question.
So may I ask in Bengali?
Yes, ask in Bengali.
Please ask in Bengali.
স্যার অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমরা তো বেসিক্যালি আমরা বাঙালি, সো আমাদের প্রধান খাদ্য হচ্ছে ভাত। তো তার মধ্যে দিয়ে আমরা যে পরিমাণ নিউট্রিশন গুলো গেইন করতে পারি সেটা অন্য কোনো কিছুর মধ্যে দিয়ে গেইন করা পসিবল না। তো যদি আমরা ভাতটাকে নিউট্রিশনে রিচ করে দিই তাহলে সেক্ষেত্রে আর সেটা যদি প্রত্যেকটা মানুষের কাছে রিজনেবল প্রাইসে যদি দেওয়া যায় তাহলে সেটা বেটার হবে, কিন্তু সেটা তো করা যাচ্ছে না। দ্যাটস দ্য প্রবলেম। আমাদের মার্কেটে গোল্ডেন রাইস আছে, ব্রাউন রাইস আছে, যেগুলো হাইলি নিউট্রিশনাস ফুড, কিন্তু সেগুলো তো সবার কাছে অ্যাভেলেবেল নয়। আর আমাদের ইন্ডিয়ার বেশিরভাগ পপুলেশন হচ্ছে বিলো পভার্টি লেভেল। তো সেটাকে আমরা কি করে সেই জায়গাটা আমরা ফিল আপ করতে পারি? দ্যাটস মাই কোয়েশ্চেন।
আমাদের ফুড অ্যান্ড সাপ্লাইজ ডিপার্টমেন্ট যেটা আছে, Food and Supplies Department is already adding nutrients to atta. In fact, to the wheat that is being processed to manufacture the atta. The system is that there are a number of atta mills who are enlisted with the Food and Civil Supplies Department, and they are given this additive for making the atta more nutritious. To add, I think iron folic acid, naki ferrous sulfate is being added to make this atta more nutritive. But you will find, if you go to Google, you will find that in the case of paddy, it is very difficult to make this operation because paddy has got a number of layers. I am going into technicalities which are way beyond my competence. So I would suggest it is being done in Philippines. It has not yet started. Maybe it will start in our country. But I have something to say over here, and that is, being a student of law, I will say that this may open up a huge number of litigations regarding the choice of food, because you have to allow people to exercise their options, whether they want good-looking, highly polished rice or more nutritive but lesser good-looking brown irregular rice. So now your question can only be answered maybe in 2025 when we have the technology to mass produce rice to which a nutritive additive has been added, a nutritious additive has been added to make it more, health-wise more valuable as compared to the ordinarily polished rice, which loses a lot of the nutrients that are there in the bran. I think that should answer your question.
I would like to add some supplement. You see, that is a wild idea, of course. You see, regarding this preparation of noodles, we add certain admixtures. Maybe the near future.
One more question, sir. May I ask that?
Yes,
He's giving answer.
I think VC sir had something to add. So
I am adding something. Sukarna, you listen carefully. You are a student of food technology. Are you a student of food?
Sir.
Or background?
Yes,
food
sir.
technology পড়ছো?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the thing is this isn't just an idea, and you see, you can also develop your idea too. Dr. Aikat rightly pointed out the difficulties in handling rice grains. But the thing is this, during the preparation of noodles and all these things, we have seen the Chinese practice of adding certain admixtures while cooking these noodles and all these things. So while preparing the rice, there may be certain innovative, these admixtures that can be added to add, to supplement the nutritional requirements, and at the same time to put on different flavors to make, this differentiation in rice products. Maybe there is an opportunity of business too. So think over it, because in cha also, tea, normal tea, you can see, you have seen that lots of, this adding different types of flavors and doing lots of experiments. People are doing, these lots of entrepreneurial activities. Even from IITs, the students, they came out with some ideas of setting, these chai chains and with the different varieties of chais, teas. There are two ways. One is intrinsically, you can develop certain nutrition, these ingredients inside the rice grain, but that requires, this tissue culture, cell biology, genetic engineering, all these things. And at the same time, there are other ways, putting certain admixtures. Then there may be, these different sorts of formulations and all these things that can be developed, and that are patented also. So to develop this, to supplement this nutritional requirement, and as well as to create different series of, these flavors and taste in the rice products. So this may be a future, and this may be a potential. This is my, this and wild idea. You may work on it. You may have your own research work. Maybe sometimes in near future, you can come forward with certain solution from your end to propose. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
শুনতে পেয়েছো?
Yes, sir.
তুমি এবার রিসার্চ করো, করে আমাদের কাছে একটা সলিউশন বলো কি করা যায়।
Sir, I just added one thing. Hello.
Yes, yes.
I just added one thing. Kharagpur IIT and NIPTEM already done this research work related on the fortification of the rice. Already they submit their patent, and it will come market within 1 year. This fortified rice. And that is the thing of that situation, is that rice is our staple food. So if we add more nutrients into the rice, then that is good for our health. So already it is project is already completed, and they actually filed a patent on this. And I think Sukarna or the other issue, that is, it will come in market within 5 years. That is a good quality rice, that is fortified rice. And that contains many nutrients, many minerals, many other issue, many vitamins, etc. That will come in market within 5 years. So that is already research work is done by the Kharagpur IIT and NIPTEM also. This is work is already done, completed.
But there is no end to this work. There can be, these infinite numbers of permutation and combinations regarding, this all these manipulations and all these, these additions. So the research work has started, but my suggestion is there are till, this leftover abundant opportunities existing.
Yes, yes.
So Sukarna, you whenever you have certain ideas, you work on it.
Sir, সব নিউট্রিয়েন্টস মোটামুটি যেগুলো আমাদের ডেইলি লাইফে দরকার হয়, সেই নিউট্রিয়েন্টস গুলোকে আমরা রাইসের মধ্যে ইনপুট করলাম, কিন্তু সেটা যদি আমাদের প্রত্যেকটা মানুষের কাছে ইজিলি অ্যাভেলেবল না হয়, তাহলে তো সেটাও তো প্রবলেম স্যার। তাহলে তো
সেটার জন্যই তো রিসার্চের দরকার, যে কি করে অ্যাফোর্ডেবল করতে হবে, কি করে এটাকে আরো বেশি অ্যাট্রাকটিভ করতে হবে, সেটার জন্য দরকার। সেটার জন্য সব যদি সোজা হতো তাহলে তো আমাদের আর কাজ ছিল না। তোমারই বা পড়াশোনা করে কি লাভ আছে? তুমি পড়ো, দেখো কি করে তুমি সলিউশন তৈরি করো, কি করে আরো বেশি সস্তা করা যায়, কি করে আরো অ্যাট্রাকটিভ করা যায়, কি করে আরো ডিফারেন্ট কোয়ালিটি করা যায়, বাজার তৈরি করা যায়, চিন্তা করো, দেখো স্কোপ আছে, প্রচুর স্কোপ রয়েছে।
আমি এখানে একটু বলতে চাইবো, আমাদের ফুড এন্ড সাপ্লাইজ ডিপার্টমেন্ট থেকে যেটা আপাতত করা হচ্ছে, সেটা হচ্ছে বিপিএল দের জন্যই সেটা করা হচ্ছে, কিন্তু আপাতত সেভাবে আমাদের এখানে এখনো সেভাবে খাওয়া হয় না। তো অন্য অ্যাসপেক্টটা, যে এটা কেন করা হচ্ছে, তারপরে এটা মানুষকে নিজের মানে ইচ্ছা মতো খাওয়ার অধিকার থেকে বঞ্চিত করা হচ্ছে কিনা। আমাদের সব গণতান্ত্রিক দেশ, অনেক রকম বিষয় আছে। আমি খানিকটা খাবারের ভালো জিনিস দিয়ে দিলেই যে লোকে ভালো করে চলতে পারবো, এত সেটা বিষয়টা নয়। তো চালের ক্ষেত্রে যেটা জানতে পারলাম, আমি 2025 বলেছিলাম, ওটা হয়তো 2021 হয়ে যাচ্ছে, কিন্তু সেই ধরে একই ব্যাপার থাকবে। মানে সেরকমই যদি হতো, এখনো যেটা দেখা যায় যে বহু ক্ষেত্রে বাসমতিও খাওয়া হচ্ছে, মানে তথাকথিত ভাবে যে মানুষ অ্যাফোর্ড করতে পারছে না, সে হয়তো বাসমতির দিকে ঘেঁষছে। তো সোশিও পলিটিক্যাল অ্যাসপেক্ট বলে একটা ব্যাপার আছে। সবসময় আমরা মানুষকে ক্যাটেগরাইজ করতে পারি না যে বিপিএল, এবং আমি বিপিএল কে নিয়ে চিন্তা করবো, বিপিএল এর কি ইয়ে করা উচিত। এখন যেমন অনেক রকম মানুষের আস্বাদন হয়েছে, ডাইভার্সিটি এন্ড টেস্ট, এইটা আমাদের মাথায় রাখতে হবে এবং সবচেয়ে বড় কথা হচ্ছে বিপিএল এর কোনো মানুষ যদি চান যে আমি 45 খাবো না, সেই চয়েসটাও যাতে তিনি এক্সারসাইজ করতে পারেন, সেটা কি করে করা যায় সেটা আমাদের ভাবতে হবে। কারণ তার ভালো কি সে হবে সে নিজে খুব ভালো জানে, এটা আমাদের ধরে নিয়ে এগোতে এখন হবে। কারণ আলটিমেটলি উই আর এ ডেমোক্রেটিক কান্ট্রি and we have to extend options to our people. In fact, there is এটা একটা খুব বড় ফ্ল্যাশ পয়েন্ট হয়েছে ওয়েস্টে, যেখানে অনেক মানুষের তথাকথিত ভাবে হেলথ ফুডকে ভীষণ টেস্ট করে, মানে আই ডোন্ট ওয়ান্ট ইউর হেলথ ফুড। সুতরাং সেখানে আমার পপুলেশন ডিভাইডেড হয়ে গেছে দ্যাট হোয়াট ইজ সো কল্ড ইউর নর্মাল ফুড and what is health food. তো হেলথ ফুডকে খুব বেশি আমরা এগিয়ে নিয়ে যেতে পারি। আমি বলছি না যে এটা খারাপ, কিন্তু এটা করার আগে আমাদের অনেকগুলো জিনিস চিন্তা করা দরকার। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Sir, we have few questions in the question answers box.
Sir,
Hello.
I have one more question. May I ask?
Please give chance to others. You took a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prem Kumar, if there are other attendees who wish to
Sir,
ask questions,
So we have
kindly
question in the question answer box that after completing master course in microbiology, we can get chance to work in food processing industry by Palmari Seal.
Our technical officers shall be in a position to better answer the question. So,
আমি সুখেন্দু জানা ফুড প্রসেসিং ডেভেলপমেন্ট অফিসার। তো মাইক্রোবায়োলজি কোর্স করার পরে আপনারা কোয়ালিটি অ্যাসুরেন্স ল্যাবরেটরিতে ফুড অ্যানালিস্ট হিসেবে কেমিস্ট হিসেবে আপনারা কিন্তু জবটা করতে পারেন যে কোনো ফুড ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে। তো মাইক্রোবায়োলজির ওপেনিং স্কোপ আছে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
And another questions asked by Sumona Manna students. Nowadays, most of the foods are adulterated either intentionally or unintentionally. So, how is it possible to stop it?
এখানে আমি একটু অ্যাড করতে চাই। So this is the very interesting questions. There are lots of chemical methods, chemicals and biochemical methods to check the food adulteration, and there is a department for it, for checking this food adulteration process and all these things. But the opportunity is somewhere else. Opportunity is now with the advent of this information technology, IT based and AI based these systems. Maybe image processing, signal analysis, and all these things that can be adopted for checking this quality of food at site. Maybe with some these mobile applications and softwares. So this is the future, and there is a potential. So checking this food adulteration process using these mobile applications and softwares based on this AI based the solution. So these there may be these lots of these business opportunities that can come up in near future, because this is a serious issue. And every time checking this food adulteration, it requires this if it requires this substantial time, then this is a difficult process, and all the qualities cannot be checked because there's a random sampling and all these things that can be checked. But if it is a system-based solution where these entire things might pass through this chamber where immediately by checking this these images and all these things and analyzing all these things, the quality of adulterations and quality of foods and can be predicted, that can be a this very, very formidable and viable solution for the future. This is my observation.
4.0 industry will help it. 4.0 industry. Thank you, sir. Any other students who want to ask any question?
I think it has been it has come to an end, and Professor Poira now this Professor Poira, Professor Sujit Mukherjee and others, they can sum up all these things. Already Dr. Reichert spent this more than almost 1.5 hours.
স্যার 12:30 শেষ করলে ভালো।
Yeah. Yes.
আমি দু একটা কথা বলবো।
হ্যাঁ, বলে এবার সামাপ করুন।
আচ্ছা, না সামিং আপ তো মোটামুটি আমরা খুব কম্প্রিহেন্সিভ একটা আইডিয়া পেলাম।
না, এটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট ইস্যু হচ্ছে নেক্সট ডেটটাও ঠিক।
হ্যাঁ, না কিন্তু আমি দু একটা কথা বলছি,
নেক্সট ডেট ডিসিশন হয়।
আমি দু একটা কথা বলছি যে ওই ডক্টর হোসেন যেটা জিজ্ঞাসা করছিল কুলেখাড়ার ব্যাপারে, সেই রকম নিউট্রিসিউটিক্যালস যেটা আইকত সাহেব বললেন, প্রভাস চক্রবর্তী, তার কোম্পানিটার নাম আমি মনে করতে পারছি না, হয়তো মেন্ডিনিন বা এরকম কিছু হবে। হি ওয়াজ এ স্টুডেন্ট অফ কেমিক্যাল ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং at Haldia Institute of Technology. He has started
মেন্ডাইন স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, সেই
মেন্ডাইন ফার্মাসিউটিক্যালস কার্মোজাইম বানায়।
হ্যাঁ, কার্মোজাইম বানায়। তারা কিন্তু ওই কুলেখাড়া নিয়ে আর এইরকম মেডিসিনাল প্ল্যান্টস নিয়ে
এবং সবকিছু প্রোডাক্টস নিয়ে যেটা করতে হবে কি, এখন the system is different. Digital presence is required because this you have to reach out to the people. Many people do not know all these things. So developing awareness and marketing of this product, adopting digital marketing, social media based marketing, this is a future, and this is a very formidable things. The thing now, all these products maybe at certain parts, that's why I was trying to give emphasis on it. Many works we are doing, but these maybe in small pockets and in isolation. We need a massive integration. Product the product development is not so difficult, but this trading awareness, making it more acceptable to the market, reaching out to the community, that is a challenging issue. There you need this massive network, digital presence, and all these things for all these products. If they require this, how to make these products more visible among the customers. So we can from our sites and from these different professional organizations, they can put forward their solution and suggestion. But there are potential. This not only Kulekhara, there's hundreds and many these available, and their potentials, their utility has not yet been used, and people are now working there, and we have the sufficient knowledge repository. Then there is a document written by Shivkali Bhattacharya.
Right. Old document.
Beneficial effects of all these these medicinal plants that have been compiled. Acharya Kopulu Chandra Roy, at the last stage of his life, he was working on this.
Even Mrs. Chatterjee also carried out a lot of work. Mrs. Osima Chatterjee.
Here you see there are
চিরঞ্জীবী বনৌষধি আছে, ওটাতে চিরঞ্জীবী বনৌষধি।
আচ্ছা, এবারে আমি বলছিলাম যে অনেক কথা হয়েছে অ্যাবাউট জেনেটিক্যালি মডিফাইড অর ক্রপস ইত্যাদি, তো সেটার সম্বন্ধেও একটু কিন্তু নোট অফ ইন্টারোগেশন থেকে গেছে যে ভবিষ্যতে কোন রকম কোনো অ্যাডভার্স এফেক্ট হতে পারে কিনা। তা যাই হোক, সেটা একেবারে এখনো 100% ফুল প্রুফ নয় যে সলিউশন উইল কাম on that line only. Thirdly, আমি যেটা বলতে চাইছি, আইকত সাহেব আছেন আশা করি, যে আপনার ডিপার্টমেন্টের সঙ্গে আমাদের এখন ইউনিভার্সিটির একটা ক্লোজ MOU হওয়া দরকার on the lines of say production, consumption, quality assessment, এই অ্যাসপেক্ট গুলোতে। আর ধরুন ডিপিআর তৈরি করার ব্যাপার, আর অ্যাওয়ারনেস প্রপাগেট করার ব্যাপার, এইগুলোতে আপনার ডিপার্টমেন্টের সঙ্গে আমাদের ইউনিভার্সিটির ইয়ং ফ্যাকাল্টি মেম্বার্স আছেন, ডাইনামিক ভাইস চ্যান্সেলর আছেন, অনেক পুরনো ট্যালেন্টেড, অনেক নতুন ইয়ং ট্যালেন্টেড স্টুডেন্টস আছে। আপনাদের সঙ্গে আমাদের কোলাবোরেশন হলে আমার মনে হয় যে উই ক্যান মুভ টুগেদার ফরওয়ার্ড, এবং নিউ প্রোডাক্টস, নিউ কনসেপ্টস, নিউ একটা রিয়েল ওয়ার্ল্ডে আমরা যেতে পারি ইন দি সেক্টর অফ ফুড অ্যান্ড ফ্রুটস।
স্যার, এটা একদম আমি I agree with you 100%. একটাই ব্যাপার আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের যে কোনো এই ধরনের কিছু করতে গেলে আমাদের ফিনান্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের একটা পারমিশনের ব্যাপার থাকে। তো যদি আমি প্রথমেই বলছি না যে আমরা একটা ড্রাফট ডিপিআর অফ এমওইউ সেটাতে ড্রাফট এমওইউতে আমরা মুভ করে যাই, আমরা মোটামুটি কি কি মডালিটিস হতে পারে সেটা যদি একটা সেটআপ করা যায় জয়েন্টলি, তাহলে আমরা সেটা ফিনান্স ডিপার্টমেন্টের কাছ থেকে পারমিশন নিয়ে তারপরে আমরা এগিয়ে যেতে পারি। আর আরেকটা ব্যাপার হচ্ছে এখানে আপনারা বলছেন যে ফুড ইন্ডাস্ট্রি বেসড এমবিএ একটা ডেভেলপ করা, সেইখানে একটু আমার যেটা মনে হয়েছে যে বিশেষ করে ফুড ইন্ডাস্ট্রির যে লোকেরা থাকে তাদের ফিনান্স সম্বন্ধে যে খুব পরিষ্কার ধারণা থাকে তা নয়। এবং আমি যেটা সবচেয়ে বেশি দেখেছি যে যদি না অন্য বিজনেস থেকে আসছে ডাইভার্সিফিকেশন হিসেবে যদি ফুড ইন্ডাস্ট্রি পিক আপ করতে চায় তাহলে তাদের পক্ষে ইট ইজ ইজিয়ার। কিন্তু একবারে প্রথম অবস্থায় যারা ফুড ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে আসতে চায় তাদের দুটো কারণের জন্য আমি বলি যে ইনিশিয়ালি আপনারা এটা একটু ডিসকাশন ক্রিয়েট করে একটা ইন্ডাস্ট্রি সেটা করতে আপনার ব্যক্তিগত 2 বছর সময় লাগে। তো আমি বলি যে তখন তুমি যখন ফাইনালি তোমার স্কেলার ফাইন্যান্সটা হবে যে তোমার 70% তুমি টার্নওভার হতে পারো, কিন্তু রেস্ট 30% তোমার প্রমোটার ইকুইটি থাকতে হবে, তাহলে ব্যাংক তোমাকে টার্নওভার দেবে। তো সেই তোমার 30% প্রমোটার ইকুইটি যদি থাকে তাহলে যে পিরিয়ডটা যেটা যার সময়ের মধ্যে ইন্ডাস্ট্রিটা তৈরি হচ্ছে, it is much better if you trade in your future product. সাপোজ কেউ বলছে আমি কেক কনফেকশনারি এইটাতে আমি একটা ফ্যাক্টরি তৈরি করতে চাইছি, তো টু গেট আ ভেরি গুড আইডিয়া অ্যাবাউট দি মার্কেট আমি সেই সমস্ত মানুষদের রেকমেন্ড করি যে আপনার যে পুঁজিটা রয়েছে আপনি এতে সেটআপ করবেন, যেটা তো এখনই লাগছে না, আপনি 1-1.5 বছর এইটাতে ট্রেডিং করুন, আপনি মার্কেটটাকে অ্যানালাইজ করুন, আপনি বুঝুন যে অ্যাজ ম্যানুফ্যাকচারার আপনি যখন আপনার প্রোডাক্ট দেবেন আপনার পেমেন্ট টার্মস কি রকম আপনি ফিক্স আপ করতে পারবেন, আপনার রিপেমেন্ট কখন হবে, কারণ ক্যাশ ফ্লোটা হচ্ছে সবচেয়ে দরকারি জিনিস। ক্যাশ ফ্লোটা যদি ঠিক মতো না হয় তাহলে যেটা হয়ে থাকে সেটা হচ্ছে যে নতুন অর্ডার নেওয়া সেই ম্যানুফ্যাকচারারের পক্ষে মুশকিল হয়ে যায়, কারণ কি হবে তার যে ওয়ার্কিং ক্যাপিটালটা সেটা লকড আপ রয়েছে ইন আনপেড ইনভেন্টরি। এবার এট দ্য সেম টাইম সে যদি খুব বেশি ম্যানুফ্যাকচার করে ফেলে তাহলে তার আনসোল্ড ইনভেন্টরিও চলে আসতে পারে। এই জন্য টু গেট আ ভেরি গুড আইডিয়া অ্যাবাউট দি ব্যালেন্স, যেটা কোনো মার্কেটিং এক্সপার্ট কিংবা কোনো চার্টার্ড অ্যাকাউন্টেন্ট তাকে দিতে পারবে না, সেটা বেস্ট হচ্ছে সে যদি মার্কেটে ট্রেড করে তাহলে একটা ফার্স্ট হ্যান্ড আইডিয়া of the volume of the market, of the dynamics of the market, of the speed of the market, of the amount of days in which the market locks up the money, এবং আলটিমেটলি এটা কি রিটেলার ড্রিভেন মার্কেট না ডিস্ট্রিবিউটর ড্রিভেন মার্কেট না ম্যানুফ্যাকচারার ড্রিভেন মার্কেট, সেটা সে খুব ভালো করে বুঝতে পারবে। তো এইটা যেরকম আছে তেমনি আমাদের কিছু ক্ষেত্রে ডিমান্ড স্টাডি গুলো আছে, সেই ডিমান্ড স্টাডি থেকেও বোঝা যায় যে মার্কেটের ভলিউম কি আছে, সেখানে আরেকজন প্লেয়ার আসতে পারবে কিনা। যেমন কিছু কিছু সেক্টর আছে যেখানে যত প্লেয়ারই আসুক, যেহেতু আমাদের একজন স্টুডেন্ট যেমন বললেন যে চালের অ্যাভেলেবিলিটি, আমাদের কিন্তু এখন খুব একটা এরকম প্রবলেম নেই, আমাদের 2 টাকা কেজি যে চালের যে ব্যাপারটা হয়েছে এইটার ফলে কিন্তু ফুড সিকিউরিটি অনেকটা আমাদের এনশিওর হয়ে গেছে। আমি যদি বলি 100% হয়ে গেছে তাহলে আমি পলিটিক্যালি ইনকারেক্ট হয়ে যাব, কিন্তু ঘটনা হচ্ছে যে so called accidents in which people die unfortunately due to starvation, due to lack of adequate food, there has been এখানে একটা আমূল পরিবর্তন চলে এসেছে। কিন্তু যেটা মুশকিল সেটা হচ্ছে যে কিছু সেক্টর আছে, সুতরাং রাইস মিল যদি করা যায় তাহলে তার যে প্রডিউসটা হবে সেটা ঠিক মার্কেট আছে। অনেকে এখন বলে যে রাইস মিল ইজ এ ডাইং মার্কেট, সেগুলো অনেকগুলো অ্যাসপেক্টস আছে যেগুলো কভার করা হয় না। যেমন ধরুন যে একটা রাইস মিল এখনো কিন্তু ফাংশন করে ভলিউমসে, মানে সেইখানে দেখতে হবে যে তার ওয়েস্টেজ যেন কোনো মতে না হয় এবং রাইস মিলের ওয়েস্টেজ খুবই কম হয় যদি আপনি ধানটাকে ঠিক মতো দেখেন। তো এক শ্রেণীর ব্যবসায়ী যারা রাইস মিল চালাচ্ছে তারা পারলে প্রতি কণা ধান দেখে সেইটা থেকে চাল তৈরি করে। আর একজন আছে সে হয়তো সিঙ্গাপুর বেড়াতে চলে গেছে কাউকে রাইস মিলের দায়িত্বটা দিয়ে, তো তার পক্ষে ভবিষ্যতে রাইস মিলটা উঠে যাওয়ার সম্ভাবনাটা এটাও একটু মাথায় রাখতে হবে। It is all in the way in which you manage your business, and in the case of rice mills you have to be very aware, very circumspect about the quality of, আমি এমন মিলারকেও দেখেছি যে 100% ভালো কোয়ালিটি অফ প্যাডি ফার্মারকে ফেরত পাঠিয়ে দিল। কেন করলো? কারণ ব্যাপার হচ্ছে যে তাতে ফার্মার কখনোই তাকে খারাপ জিনিস দেবে না, মানে ফার্মারকে সে সারাক্ষণ সে চাপে রাখে। ইট ইজ আনফেয়ার বিজনেস প্র্যাকটিস, কিন্তু দিস ইজ হোয়াট হ্যাপেন্স। তো আমি যেটা বলতে চাইছি যে বেশিরভাগ সেক্টরেই ফুড প্রসেসিং ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে যথেষ্ট অ্যামাউন্ট অফ ডিমান্ড আছে। কোথাও ইনভেন্টরি আপনি দেখবেন না যে কারোর কাছে পড়ে রয়েছে, নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে। এমনকি সাকসেসফুল নিশ্চিত দোকান, সেখানে একটু সন্ধ্যাবেলা বেশি দেরি করে গেলেও আপনি কিন্তু মিষ্টি পাবেন না। তো যেটা বোঝার সেটা হচ্ছে যে যে ম্যানুফ্যাকচারার তাকে আগে একটা ট্রেডিং এক্সপিরিয়েন্স থাকলে ইউ উইল বি এ ভেরি গুড ম্যানুফ্যাকচারার। থ্যাংক ইউ।
So I would like to once again thank Mr. Jayant Kumar Aikat. It has been an extensive discussion, comprehensive and very engaging. Several students have raised important issues and questions, and all the panelists have answered. It has been nearly almost 1.5 hours, more than 1.5 hours now. So on behalf of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, we would like to thank Mr. Aikat for sharing his invaluable experience and sharing his wisdom with not only with us, with all the attendees and the students. And sir, we are sure that what our Honorable Vice Chancellor sir and you have initiated, we together, our university and your department, will be able to forge a very good understanding and a formal tie-up and formal collaboration to implement. Now it is very important that we have formulated the ideas and plans, but now let us get down to the implementation level. Let us start delivering slowly. So sir, that will be the next stop for us. We will start doing this. Honorable Vice Chancellor sir has already formed a task force. Professor Poira is the chairperson, Dr. Hussain is the convener, and we are there, and in fact everybody is there. The task force is just a formalization, but everybody is welcome to join in our endeavor. So with these words, sir, and with permission of Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, may I close today's webinar. Once again, I thank all the panelists and our esteemed speaker for joining with us. Once we get progress a little bit on the implementation aspect, we will hold another webinar and inform the attendees of how we are following up from today and what has been our deliverable so far. So thank you.
Thanks to the Vice Chancellor and his wonderful team. I think if you give me permission, I shall leave the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.